He's carrying, so I'm not going to fight him.
He does have a bullet.
And he does have the county-issued single bullet. Okay.
Who cares?
You shouldn't have asked her. You knew better than to say that.
Have we reached any conclusions or?
Pray for Davy Zeller.
Okay, never mind, later.
Guess he's. Am I doing prayer?
No, Mike Ellis is.
Oh, okay. We have quorum.
That's what we talked about.
Quorum. Where's everybody at?
Might have to vote.
Once again, proving that if you're going to be successful, surround yourself with great ladies so we can have a quorum. Girls rule. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Morgan County Council on November 4th, 2020. Please stand. Kelly will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mike Ellis, the newly elected coroner, will lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Most precious Heavenly Father, we gather this evening for the conduction of business. And Father, first and foremost, I thank you for who you are and what you've done in my life. And I thank you for the touch that you have for each and every one of us. Father, there's one not sitting here this evening I want to lift up to you. His name is Dave Zoller. Father, he's a good man, and I know that he knows you. And I'm asking you, Lord God, for a healing touch for his body and his spirit. And we lift him up to you tonight because he's sick in his body, but I don't believe his spirit is sick. So, Father, we just ask you to touch him from the crown of his head to the soles of his feet, touch his family, and touch all that know him. Father, we ask you for your presence in this place, that the business conducted here would be through your divine attention and your divine inspiration. We give you honor, praise, and glory in all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Council, first on the agenda, we have two separate sets of minutes, one reflecting a joint meeting with the commissioners and then of our regular meeting from October 5th. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to read through some of those, and if so, I'd look for a motion to approve one or both sets of.
It's a motion that we approve both sets of minutes as presented.
On the floor, do I have a second? Thank you. Any corrections, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. I'll be passing these down. Been an updated agenda placed in front of us tonight, so hopefully everybody's on the updated. There are no additionals, so we will go directly to the auditor for the first request of a transfer.
Requesting a transfer from instruction and education. With the COVID, there's the fact that there have been really no education and instruction sessions that we've traveled to. Everything's been over the web and such. We do need to get some comfortable chairs that aren't breaking our backs at the end of the day, and so we've been looking around, and we'd like to transfer money so that we can get chairs for everyone. We're looking at about $200 each for the chairs. That's what this is about.
Auditor. Hearing none, I look for a motion.
I motion that we approve $1,500 transfer from instruction and education to equipment.
I have a motion on the floor from Daniel. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Kim Meredith will second.
Thank you, Kim. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. 0. Next up, treasurer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just need to transfer $1,500 over to my first deputies for her payroll. At the beginning of the year, we lost my first deputy. She resigned. And so I've got to replace that money that I gave her when she left. So please, let me transfer that over.
Any questions? Not hearing any. Motion?
Vic, go ahead, Kelly.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $1,500 from contractual to the first deputy line.
On the floor, do I have a second?
Vicky Kivett makes that second.
No further comments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion
you.
passed. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Coroner.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am requesting a transfer from my supplies line to my equipment line in the amount of $1,000. That money is going to be used to purchase a new flexible cot. Our flexible cot, we use it on every scene, and the strap broke. It's been broken for a while, and we've been kind of limping it along, but I think that it was time for a new one. So, and then we also are going to use the rest of it to purchase a baby bag. And that's just something that we would use at the hospital to transport an infant or a small child in, so that we don't have to put them on a cot, on a huge cot to take them into the hospital if we have to do radiology or anything.
Any questions for the coroner? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
Kim Meredith will make a motion to transfer from supplies $1,000 to equipment in the coroner's budget.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Plan Commission.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone. So in your handouts, I provided you with a memo detailing the list of transfers that I'd like to make. Due to COVID, we had a lot of funds that went unspent because lack of meetings, lack of training, lack of mileage, all of those things I provided for you on the memo. So I'm going to move those, or request to move those, into contractual services, because we've put out an RFP for a consultant to help us do an update of our zoning ordinance. And although I had money approved from you all last year, well, I should say at the beginning of last year, to fund that, it looks like it's really low. So I can use these funds to put towards that to help pay for those consulting fees. I cannot promise that I won't have to come back and maybe ask for a little bit more. We are just in the interviewing process, so just as a heads up, I might have to come back again for a little bit. But for tonight, this is just a transfer within.
So seeking a transfer from various funds into contractual services for updating of the county zoning.
Correct.
Any questions? Hearing none, seek a motion.
Vicky Kivett makes a motion that we approve the transfer as outlined on the agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion passes. Real quick, how often do we update that?
It hasn't been updated since 2001, when it was first adopted. There's been a few amendments to it that have been made through the years, but an overhaul of the ordinance itself hasn't been done since it was adopted.
Okay. Probably.
It's due.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, weights and measures.
Welcome. Welcome, Mr. Manley. This is the first time you've been up here, I think, isn't it?
Initiation time.
Yeah, I'm going to get it, I'm sure.
Didn't take him long to find the mic, did it?
I guess being the rookie here, I've got to push the limits. I actually have 3 requests this evening. As you may remember, during the time we didn't have an inspector, the state, I believe it was, come in and said that this position had to be moved to a full-time position. So I was lucky enough to get that position, and I want to thank everybody, you all and the commissioners, for that wonderful opportunity. I'm asking for 3 transfers tonight. The first one is from repair and maintenance in the amount of $2,400, and from supplies and operating, $500, into the inspector's salary position, because I'd really like to be paid for the rest of the year. And when the budget was made last year, it was only a part-time position. So that's number 1. Do I need to do these all together, or?
I combined them all together, Scotty.
Oh, you did? Okay. So do I need to read? Okay. The next one is from travel and lodging in the amount of $1,768 into maintenance repair vehicle for, I'm going to need tires on that truck before the ice and snow gets there.
Doesn't require council action, so they don't, that one doesn't require council action, so
Oh, okay.
that's not on there.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I'm a rookie.
And I have seen his tires, and they're, why, I thought it'd be funny, because I'm friends with Scott, not to give them to him during the winter,
Yeah.
because of the liability. I said, you need to get on the agenda and get some new tires.
And then I get fired when I have a wreck, right?
Yeah.
Lastly, I'm asking for $690 from a equipment fund into the supplies, repair, and maintenance line item. The provers on the back of the truck, which is what I use to actually certify gas stations. I have 2 of them that are, one of them's broke. The second one is iffy, so I need to order the parts. I have to take the truck to the state metrology lab early December. They're actually going to certify the weights and the truck for me for the year. That'll be good for 2 years at that point. So I'm asking for that transfer so I can purchase those parts.
Any questions for Scott? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to transfer $2,400 from repair and maintenance and $500 from operating supplies to be a total of $2,900 to inspector, as well as $690 from equipment to supplies and repair.
Have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Kim Meredith will second.
Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Your first approved
Thank you.
transfer.
And thanks again for a wonderful opportunity. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Here.
County Health Fund,
She's like, I forgot my mask.
You guys are too quick. I thought I was going to have to sit here all night. Okay, I am asking to transfer $1,500 from our vaccine account to equipment. We kind of overspent the first part of the year for nurses' computers, and then they're wanting a new cardio check lipid analyzer that it costs $700. So we're needing to transfer money.
Do you have that excess in your vaccine
We
money?
do.
I mean, you think you'll have you won't run short on that later?
Well, yes, our vaccine account is actually just in case we need to purchase vaccines.
Okay.
It's not something that we are actually
Gotcha.
having to do at this moment, or
Okay.
at this time, this year.
If there be no further questions, Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we allow the transfer of $1,500 from vaccines into equipment.
Have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Have a second. Any further questions for the County Health Fund? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie.
County EMS Fund,
These numbers are always big.
Hello.
Good evening, how are y'all doing?
Good.
Good. We'd like to request transfer from training and supply in the amount of $6,000 and uniforms in the amount of $3,000 to our equipment fund. There's some, due to COVID, we haven't had to use a lot of the funds that we normally would use for training purposes because a lot of the live training has been canceled. We were able to shuffle some of our monies earlier in the year to vehicle maintenance and repair, out of instruction and education, and out of travel expenses to help pay for some unforeseen repairs. So we'd like to do the same thing here with the $6,000 and the $3,000 to be transferred to equipment so that we can get some hands-on training equipment for our crews that is desperately needed.
What type of equipment?
Well, you look at the intubation, the adult and the pediatric intubation heads run you about $1,500 to $1,600 a piece. IB training arms can run you in the range of about $800 to $1,000. IO trainers can run you similar, $350, $500.
So just various?
It
Okay.
varies. And plus, we're also looking at the possibility of looking through Lardell. They have a grants help section. In previous tries, we've not been successful in trying to get with them to get stuff done, but if we can get a matching grant in the future, there'll be something where we can do some serious simulation work, which is something that is desperately needed because we can't make people sick or injured just to treat them in practice. So the simulation is about as close as we can get.
any further questions? Hearing none, look for a motion.
Kim Meredith will make a motion to transfer from training supplies $6,000, uniforms $3,000, to equipment for a total of $9,000.
Have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second that?
Thank you. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Don.
Appreciate it. This will pay dividends. Thank you. Real quick, this is Keenan Blair. Sorry, Keenan, I know it's
Yeah,
hard to introduce
introduce
you.
us.
He's the new training officer, QA/QI. He's hit the ground running, 3 weeks in the office. We've got numerous contact hours, not only with our own department and personnel, but also with outside departments, and things are just on the uptick, and it's
Great.
Moving in the direction that I
And I'm
want to
sorry, I
see
didn't,
it.
Keenan
Keenan Blair.
Keenan Blair, okay.
Yeah, he comes to us, Department of the Army, served in Iraq. He also served with the State Department doing medical and security details for dignitaries before he got to us.
Great. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks, appreciate you.
Thank you. That ends the transfers. Job classification system and maintenance plan ordinance.
Bree. Hello.
This information was sent to you a couple weeks ago. So we have two ordinances tonight. One of them is to accept the job descriptions that WIS did for us. Do you have
I don't know.
that
Do
one,
we
or do you
that
just have
for us?
the other one?
I don't think we,
What's it look like?
yeah. Do we have copies of it, Dan?
would have been in your packet.
Oh, that got emailed out?
Where did that go?
I have the form here, but I don't see an ordinance anymore. Nope, that's maintenance ordinance.
What'd you say, Josh? Do you want a copy? Yeah, go
I want
ahead.
to see it. Because I
No,
don't,
we have it.
it wasn't in my packet.
It probably tricked you because it says, ordinance,
It was a separate
FE.
email. It was a
Okay.
separate email.
Okay. My bad.
So the first one is just to accept the job descriptions for the countywide. What we had determined was it would be easier, and we have stated it in the second ordinance when we're talking about the maintenance plan, is that the HR director is going to be the keeper of the job descriptions. And so if any changes are made, any requests are made or anything, it has to go through one person. So we are hoping to, as far as I know, everybody has given me, when the original job descriptions came out and everybody signed off on them, everybody's given me any changes that needed to be made. And so we want to accept them as of tonight. And then we'll go forward with doing our maintenance plan, which would be any changes that need to be made from there on out. Do you have a copy of the ordinance for the maintenance plan? Okay. Are there any questions regarding any of the information?
Did you find many changes that were required of the original descriptions?
No, I really didn't. There were a few that maybe something had been missed, when a supervisor gets back like 25 or 30, they might have missed something. So there were just a couple of things like that that were just mistakes, and so we took care of those.
Good, good.
There was no change. There were
Thank you,
no
Josh.
changes that made anybody switch categories or make any changes in salary, anything
I'll
like
use this
that.
one to sign and pass
We had
on.
to update weights and measures because when we had originally submitted it, it was
full-time.
part-time and now it's full-time. And I believe we've got the new positions that the council approved. We've also got them ready.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Does anyone have any other? I was okay when on the clause under A, in the future new jobs are added, or the adoption, new job descriptions changed, new job description shall be prepared or updated. I mean, this is a living ordinance more so than, so the council and the commissioners and HR will be looking at this ongoing forever. So with that, I have no other comments or issues, so if someone would like to make a motion to adopt this ordinance, pass this ordinance?
I'll make such motion. Do we have an ordinance number, Dan? Does it have an ordinance number?
We haven't assigned it one now.
To be assigned.
To be assigned, to be determined.
11:04.
I make the motion.
We have a motion on the floor to pass the ordinance adopting County of Morgan, Indiana job descriptions. Do I have a second?
Kim Meredith will second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. And it passes 5-2, nothing.
Okay.
Job, keep up the good work.
So then we have the second ordinance.
Oh, we got
For
two
the
more.
maintenance
We're
plan.
not done with her yet. Okay.
Can I sign this one?
So you're getting them, you're
Is
bringing
there a
them down.
special
as
one
the
that has to be
president.
signed?
Okay, so I can put this one away. Because the official's going to come down here.
For what we just,
Ordinance numbers on these.
That's what I kind of think. This is the maintenance plan. This is the maintenance
Okay.
plan.
Did you give me a signature page for
On
the,
Swift.
Did I what?
did you give me a signature page for the adoption? of the ordinance?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, we don't want two-sided. Here we
Picky,
go.
picky, picky.
We got one. Thank you.
Next up for review is the ordinance adopting Morgan County, County of Morgan, Indiana Job Classification System and Maintenance Plan.
And this, again, is handled through HR, correct?
Yes, it's basically also stating that there's going to be a committee that would go over any new requests or change requests. And that would be 3 council members, the county auditor, and then the county administrator, if in place of a commissioner, whichever one would need to be there. And then I would be the one to put everything together, but I would not be a voting member. I would just be an advisor.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Kelly.
Look for somebody to make a motion to adopt this ordinance.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the maintenance plan or job classification system and maintenance plan ordinance, since we don't have a number.
Daniel's made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Sign. Thank you.
For the 3 council members that would need to be appointed, is that something you would prefer to do after January 1st?
What's that?
The council members that have to be appointed for the subcommittee.
Yeah,
This is-
yeah.
I don't
Wait.
think they'll be needed before
There's no
then,
point.
I
but-
think for January,
Okay.
unless you're
To
needed.
Janu- Unless you foresee something needed prior to
Not
that.
this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go bonds information, general obligation. Huh?
Well, that's not on the list.
First, good evening, everyone. It's good to see you. I did want to take a minute and just say thank you to Doree for all the hard work she did on getting these things together. There's been a lot of information to go through, and I think putting the job descriptions in place has been a great step for the county. So thank you all for prompting that along. Before you, it's in your packet. Well, and last thing I'll say, Jim did review all that stuff. He unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. He had to quarantine, but he has reviewed everything related to the ordinances you guys passed tonight. There is a CARES Act resolution. Commissioners have already approved it. You have a draft copy in your packet, just so you would be clear that that was a copy in case you want to make any changes to it. The original that the commissioners signed and approved is down here with Deb, if you don't have any changes to make. But this is the mechanism that needs to be put in place for us to make use of the reimbursing salaries for our workers. We can't do anything else with the money other than the fact that we have now receipted it until we do this resolution, and we'll have one more to follow up with. I think Dan and I probably need to get on that here shortly, but we have received that money as of the 2nd.
Just get you up, kind of, you may already know all this, but in case you don't, the COVID grant from Indiana Finance Authority that was funneled through Indiana Finance Authority from the state, which is what we've been planning on for reimbursement of our COVID expenses. Suddenly in September, mid to late September, they changed the game plan on us, and as opposed to where Josh had already submitted round 1 of reimbursements to the state. No action had been taken on those, and then when inquired on what was going on, then we find that, well, they're making a priority of sending money to localities for the salaries of public safety personnel, those monies that were paid from March through September for that, and they were setting that as a priority, and that was going to be their focus for sending money. Then, at the same time, I don't know whether it was through the Fed's direction or if it was the state solely deciding on their own, but the State Board of Accounts had okayed a process where counties could receipt into the county general fund the money that they were going to receive that we just received Monday, that you could receipt it into your county general fund. Typically, when you're getting money reimbursed for certain expenses, it has to go into the fund from which you paid it. But in this case, they were giving an exception, and it could all go into the general fund if the county commissioners and the county council jointly passed this CARES Act resolution authorizing that to be the process for us. Assuming that you're going to approve that, then the money will be in will first go into the COVID fund, and then it's gonna go over into the general fund. Josh and I, were in the impression that the county was desiring, or the county council desired to replenish or restore to at least fully or to some extent the money being spent out of the rainy day fund for COVID to replenish the rainy day fund to get it restored to either back to where it was before we started incurring these expenditures, or at least close to that. So, so we have to look for a way to accomplish that if that's the direction you give us. And we believe that we can do that. It'll take another ordinance or resolution of the county council where you would authorize, or you would authorize the transfer of county general fund money to the rainy day fund by the year's end. And if you authorize it, there is a limitation in the statute as to the amount. It's a percentage, has to be equal to or less than 10% of the total budget. So using that parameter, you could transfer about $2.2 million to the rainy day fund from the general fund, and that so happens to be almost identical to the money we're getting from Indiana Finance Authority. So we're looking to you for guidance. If that's the path you want to go down, then we could have for your next meeting an ordinance where you would authorize that transfer to happen.
I think that's exactly what I would want.
That gets us where we were planning on going, in that we replenish the rainy day fund for the money we've expended for COVID-related expenses.
And the AIC, I don't know if you guys got that email, the AIC sent that video. It was very informative, I thought. I watched that, and it was very informative on how that process worked, so.
That's what brings us here. I mean, the whole conversation's really changed, where we were first talking about applying for, money to be received that directly related to these expenses that we were incurring, and which Josh had already started phase one of that, but now they've changed it, and, it's an expedited process. We have our money, and I think we can get money into the rainy day fund as the intent was all along.
Because all indication is that it's a strong possibility that it's going to start raining again.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. We want to replenish that because we
Yeah,
may
I'd say
need it
within
again real soon.
2 weeks, it's going to be
And
pouring down.
it may be a different administration. It may not be quite as easy to get those funds, so.
That was what he's talking and moving. I think I would favor having those resolutions
I
for our
would
next
too.
meeting to get the money back to the rainy day to where we
100%.
can allocate it out of that if need be in the near future.
Would you guys like the whole amount to go to rainy day, or do you want some portion of it?
I'd like the whole thing. That's my thought.
Okay, easy enough.
Gives us the flexibility, the
Yes.
rainy day, to move it where we have to once it's in there at a later point.
Okay, perfect.
That would be mine. We're all in agreement.
Thank you for the clarity.
For what it's worth, and I've come close to presenting this to you before, but I thought maybe we weren't quite so flush with money that you'd want to entertain it. But this transfer from general fund to rainy day fund is something we can do annually.
Right, up to 10%.
But each year's limit is equal to or less than 10% of the budget. But
It's a good thought.
And isn't it my understanding that you can pretty much do anything you want with rainy day fund money?
you have 4 council votes.
Never heard of any kind of restrictions or,
The neat thing about getting it to that,
And Paul loves to spend it on a
Yeah,
rainy day.
Paul loves to spend rainy day.
he's not even here tonight.
guys, let's spend
Favorite
some.
topic, and he's not here to talk about it.
Anything else on the direction of that? Get that back on our agenda
Does that
next month
require a
and-
vote?
Yeah, the past tonight's resolution does require a vote, and
Okay.
then, yes, that's what we need to get started.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that, Dan.
So your first step is you have to approve this CARES Act resolution.
Okay.
Because
Do I have a motion to pass the CARES Act resolution?
Vicky Kivett makes that motion.
Thank you, Vicki. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kelly. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. 5-0.
And just for your information, we included the amount of money that's been spent towards COVID-related, appropriated or spent in your packet, so you have that, just so you can keep track of it all. And sorry, Brian, I skipped your bond. I had it backwards.
Oh,
will go
yeah, we
back.
went to CARES instead of the general obligation bonds information.
Yeah, that, Josh and I have talked with TAF, the county's attorneys, that if the county were to go with the general obligation bond, would be most likely the attorneys who would do, prepare the bond resolutions and all those legalities. Then we also talked to Baker Tilly, who would be our financial advisors in this process, and learned that the process for the general obligation bonds is not all that difficult, especially if we have bond counsel that's does this probably almost on a weekly basis. So, but the Baker Tilly conversation, we think, is more what you want to take a look at, and to kind of help give yourself some guidance or a guide as to what level of bonding you might do. There's, the bonds can be packaged into one bond, or you can divide it up into separate bonds. If you would happen to have certain projects that are, that maybe will be more immediate need for money to finance those projects, you could have a bond issue for that. And if you have other ideas of projects that might take some more lead time in order to know what level and amount the bonds might need to be, these could be at a second time. But you could, though, through the bond resolutions and all of that, you could do all that at one time. You could just have the timing be where you actually go to sell the bonds at a later date. There is IRS provision that we need to be cognizant of, is that you can't earn more money on bonds than, you can't make more money at the bank than what you're
Right.
paying in the bond interest. So arbitrage is what that's referred to. But you might reduce your bond cost, your legal cost and such, if you bundle those with staggered sell dates and, incurring. Another thing you might want to think about, depending on what you're wanting, the type of projects that you're wanting to finance, maybe some of those projects, you got to think about the life of that project. I mean, if you're doing certain expenditures, how long will those expenditures, will we have to incur them again, or like renovation and those sort of things, as opposed to purchasing real estate or other building structures that are more permanent, and that you might want a longer bond term for those and shorter term for them. So all those things go into play. But, so those you obviously know you would need to think about. But this here, I gave you, Josh and I put together this worksheet with the help of Baker Tilly of different types of bonds and terms, and it's the summary of illustrated financing options. It's a one-page
Yes.
worksheet here that gives you, it has 20-year, 15-year, and 10-year bond terms, and has different levels. The one thing that you need to be aware of, that there are certain projects, there are thresholds like controlled projects that require a petition and remonstrance process, that's so if you look at this, that right now, and that changes every year, but that's right like 5.5, almost $5.6 million at the current time for that. And I'm no, but anyway, what this is giving you what the, what the projected or estimated interest rate would be at the current time on these different bond levels, and what the interest expense would be per year, and what that would amount to in terms of a debt service property tax levy, and then what that means in terms of a tax rate, and then here in our county, we need to take into account these tax rates. And the first set of tax rates is what I call the gross tax rate. But then the last three columns, the one is the net tax rate for homestead property. Here in this county, we have a property tax relief that we're funding through income tax. And so the actual tax rate paid by taxpayers is much less than the gross rate. It's that tax relief is right now right at about 30%. And then at the very, very last column is a column that shows you if you had $200,000 of property, taxable property, that last column would show you what the estimated price per year, cost per year would be for those bonds.
It's very helpful to have that
Yeah,
information
that
too,
is.
Dan, thank you.
But that's just not me. It's me, Josh, and Baker Tilly, all this together, but.
It is helpful, though, to see that
To
final
see
number.
that yeah.
Didn't see any problem with us on duration or, in your example, up to 15 million. I mean, that's not gonna.
The only.
Cash flow, payment flow, we're good because we're tying it in and.
We didn't really get into.
The debt service, there are no limits on debt service. There's no control on debt service. Debt service is controlled by what the council would wish to have as far as a tax rate, and what the taxpayers would be willing to accept. The debt service rate and levy all stands alone by itself. So whatever your bond issue is, and whatever your annual bond payments are, or what you need in a debt service property tax levy, it will be that, as long as that whole process went through a referendum, if you had a referendum, but none of these are a referendum. 15, what do you, 15?
I thought it was 15,575, but I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
it was over $15 million before you get to
Before
a
a referendum, okay.
But anything over the 5.5 or 5.6 million, though, is going to be they're going to be a petition and remonstrance process that's
Sure.
involved, where you've got to circulate petitions in favor, and then you'll have possibly taxpayers circulating petitions opposing it, and whoever gets the
Well, I don't think
most
anything we're
signatures
asking for is
wins.
anything that's
So, and I think, we just wanted you to have an opportunity to digest this over the next few months. And if you all indicated at budget time that this is something you would like to pursue, and so we
Yes.
would.
And now, and then
And
be
now's the
reviewing
time.
our capital
Right.
projects, and I always use the example of a salt barn. We order salt for the winter and we throw it out in a pile, but it rains, so there's no salt when, just being metaphorically speaking,
So, and I think, Deb, you kind of took over our list of projects, correct? So we've got that list running, and we'll need to prioritize and,
correct.
We don't have any kind of ballpark figure of what that would cost to accomplish that list.
no,
No, you'd have to
we're
get
going to have to
quotes
work
all
on
that
that.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What needs to be done, one
Right.
of
Yeah,
the next
next.
things that needs to be done.
I mean, would it involve getting like an architecture or DLZ or someone on board to, like, for the EMS facility?
Well, that's being done right now. There's a feasibility study that's being
Okay.
accomplished at the moment.
Okay.
And they're in the phase where the architecture firm is starting to
And-
put some preliminary stuff together.
When do they expect a completion date of that study? Is there an anticipated completion date? Okay. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, the next thing the council commissioners need to do is to come up with some estimated dollars, whether that requires engineers, architects, or just,
Yeah, we just need our checklist and start looking at those numbers. We need to know what bracket we're looking at here.
'cause,
Prioritize
you know,
what we think we ought
interest
to
rates
do.
are really good right now.
Now's the time to do these things.
Can you kind of give a ballpark of what they are, the interest rates?
Yeah, they're on here.
It's on here. It's in the column illustrative average coupon at 2.7.
Oh, right here, I'm sorry.
6,
20-year,
1.91.
2.27.
Yeah. Yeah, that 1.5, look at that one at 1.56.
And that would be the rate on the bonds? Okay. Someone-
Into-
Either way,
and
that's
It's a loose number. I mean, they're going off of what they see at the market each day, but he gave us the
So-
caveat. I mean, nothing's hard and fast until the day
Right.
you close your bonds.
Sure.
I just had someone in the community ask me what the rates would be.
These are just illustrative, but
Just watch gas prices. If they go up, bond prices probably gonna go up.
Which means asphalt goes up and,
That's why I'm saying, that's why I'm
Quick,
saying,
get it done.
make your list
We
now.
better get it
Let's-
done before they, get it locked in
when you
before the
leave the
end of the
lot
year.
tonight, take a picture of the gas price sign. So it won't be long.
I think some of your projects you could get on to pretty quickly, but there again, the more you can bundle together and go through all the process, the legal process and such together, not necessarily that you're going to sell them all at the same time.
Right,
but
not to
Get all that
piecemeal.
done, you can lower your administrative costs and legal costs.
Agreed.
Boys don't work cheap.
No,
No.
they sure don't.
If we did like some 10-year and some 20-year, is it going to cost us more if we just have more than one? Administrative wise?
Yeah.
Not to that degree, maybe 1.5. In theory, it's like 1.5 instead of 1 and 1 make 2. If you put them together and restructure it, it may be 1.5 or 1.3. Yeah, there's cost savings
Yeah,
on
say-
staggering your projects as long as you bond them and have the underwriters and everybody looking at it all at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, because like, if you have, let's say you're gonna have 3 series of bonds, and if they all together sum to $6 million, and just for real easy math, we'll say they're each $2 million each, but, we need $2 million here, and as soon as we can get it in 2021, and so we'll sell series 1, then, and maybe we need the other part, the latter part of the year, or the first of the next, and so forth. I imagine there's a limit to how far you can stretch out the series, but if you forecast that and you sell 1/6, or you do the administrative and the legal work for $1.6 million group, that's gonna cost you less than if you do 3 $2 million.
That was my question.
Okay.
Any direction you all want us, want to give on that, or just take some time, look over the capital improvement plan, and it may even behoove us to have a joint meeting with the commissioners maybe
Yeah.
early
I think
next
we
year.
need to have a meeting.
I think we need to move toward that meeting and have those numbers together.
Clarification on if we issue bonds, but the project's not going to, how long before the project has to be started before we get in trouble? Because we've issued $10 million worth of bonds, but we've only done $8 million worth of projects, and the other two we want to do. How long before we go, hey, you can't
there's-
put that 2 million in the bank back on that? There's got to be some type of rule there and time frame, because
Yeah,
I believe interest rates are going to creep up on us.
Right.
So based upon our capital improvements that we come with the commissioners and the council, I'm going to issue at this point as much as I can at 1.56 to 2.27, because I could see that going up, and that's relatively. And again, the more I issue, the less future costs I'm going to have in legal and underwriting and all on the backside, so that we can get some of these big capital improvements out of the way.
Dan hit on that question, and it was, at the time, I think it's a little fluid still. I think it had more to do with expectations when you plan to do it versus if you let that scale slide a little bit. So I think once we have a better idea of how much we want to do, we'll have a better idea of how long that can sit latent.
If you could demonstrate that you are moving towards completing or accomplishing the project or the purpose for which you bonded, then you're going to reduce the probability of you being dinged for arbitrage because you're moving towards that. But if you just go and you sell a bond and you get the money and you put it in the bank and you're just kind of sitting around, well, we're going to do something one of these days, that's when you're going to get in trouble.
Okay.
I just know if you were to build a house right now, and 2x4s have gone from $2 a stick to $8 a stick. Everybody I've talked to is saying in the spring that'll come back down, is what the home builders in the area have been telling us. So you might want to wait 3 to 4 months to save some money on 2x4s, and that's why I'm asking if I could have a general feel of, and not get us in trouble.
Yeah, now, one question I don't think we addressed, though, with them is, like this bundling, like, say, multiple series. I don't know if there's a time limit as to how far out in the future you can sell the last series or the next, the time length between each series if you have to go, or even if you have to go to market with or sell those.
But I would think if you delay,
But
then
once you
you would
sell
be.
them, that's when arbitrage starts. It's not
Right,
until
but,
you sell them.
but also, the longer you wait to sell them, you're exposed to market
Oh, yeah.
rate
Right.
fluctuation risk.
Yeah, you're,
I don't see it getting any lower regardless
No.
of
No.
No matter
anything
what.
that's going on.
Now's the time to move.
Let's make our list, let's coordinate with the commissioners to make their list, and we'll probably have another meeting here.
Is that a meeting you all would want to target for probably December, or something
I
you want
would.
to target for January?
I think we need to move on this quickly.
Right.
Great. Thanks.
What is the time frame on bond issue and underwriting in 2 months?
about
3 months?
probably 60 to 90 days.
2 months, 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Except on the longer ones that have
No,
31
it's
days.
60 to 90 days.
February doesn't count because there's only 28 days. No, I'm sorry. I told Dan I wouldn't pick on him this meeting.
Don't mention leap year either.
More. Oh, darn. We got to
45 days to 60. You and your months. It's
I know,
days,
I know,
buddy.
it's days. Okay. Well,
Okay.
Sheriff's Retirement Plan Amendment.
Parks vehicle there.
That's off the agenda.
Drove itself off.
Oh, that's okay. I just,
Don't question him, okay?
no question.
Yeah, don't question him.
Yeah.
Good evening, folks. What I have before you, what I gave you this evening is, earlier you guys were gracious enough to offer us, or to put in place a long-term benefit plan for disability for the sheriff's office. What you have before you is just the official document that will be the amendment to our plan. It goes into place. So I just need folks to look at it and approve it, and then it has to be signed by you folks, myself, and the mayor board.
Prepared this.
One America. They're the ones that established and maintain our pension plan.
This would be in effect the day it's signed.
January 1. It'll
January
go into
1st.
effect. Yes, ma'am.
Put it on here somewhere. Yes.
The clock is loud.
I did a quick read, and like most of our benefit plans, are always subject to revision, update, and change. Nothing jumped out in the quick read. Questions of the sheriff?
Does the county attorney review this as well?
He's been in conversations with us on this, but he hasn't reviewed this document here.
Well, you kind of have your own,
Yeah.
you have your own counsel to.
Yes, and he
It-
has reviewed it, correct.
Okay. I have no issue with it.
To adopt the amendment to the sheriff's retirement plan?
I motion that we accept the amendment for the sheriff's retirement plan.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Go ahead. I'll second.
Thank you. No further questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you, Sheriff. Other business.
I was wondering, Mike Dillinger, if you'd like to take a moment, we'd spoke before the meeting, maybe give us some good news on economic upticks.
Hi, everybody. Can I take this off while I'm talking?
May.
Couldn't tell if Josh had it or not. I'm just going to kind of go around the horn for you real fast. And Daniel will probably interject some stuff because I'm going to engage a little bit about the RDC. Kelly Alcala's on our board of directors with the EDC. We have some things going on kind of all around the horn, with the exception right now of in Morgantown. And I'll start out in Eminence. We have been working with the school superintendent in Eminence on a couple of issues that she brought to our attention. One was, how could we help to expedite the rural broadband program out there? So we connected her with the EDC partner, James Tannenberg at REMC, so he could update her on the schedule. The second one was that she asked about, is there the potential for infrastructure out in Eminence? You know, we'd love to see our water and sewer in our communities. And so that's an issue that the RDC has been looking at, is how can we help those rural communities perhaps someday be able to fund that type of infrastructure? So Daniel's group has been engaged in that. And then last has been out there at Little Point, the interstate superstructure, the overpass will be taken out, replaced in fiscal year 2023. And we've worked a little bit with Laura in the planning department to understand the zoning out there and how that's related to the properties that we might be able to help on a beautification project and over this next couple of years, to see if we can't clean up that area as the kind of the western front door to Morgan County. In Monrovia, the town of Monrovia has reinvested in the Morgan County Economic Development Corporation. They were absent for a few years. They've joined us again. They're going through a comprehensive land use plan update. They've retained HWC, who did Morgan County's and Martinsville's plans over the last couple of years, so that's pretty good. We're pretty excited about that. We just helped Monrovia meet a developer who is now taking down some ground for single-family development there. I think that it will be probably, planning should go on pretty soon, but there will be development that where previous was planned, I think a subdivision where Pyatt Homes at one time had proposed up on Road 39, kind of in the area of the town's wastewater treatment plant. We have another developer, another residential home developer that has taken that ground down this week. And that's through the Economic Development Committee working with the EDC. The RDC's involved because of the TIF district up at West Point. Probably in 2022 on the Morgan County side, we're going to see a couple of those larger logistics buildings go in. Von Wamsley, the owner of the site, has retained Ambrose. They have footprints for 5 1 million square foot buildings out there. A couple of them would be over on our side of things, starting in the Hendricks County side. But what happens is we have the question now about the joint county TIF and how it's supposed to be related to infrastructure and sewerage. And that's where the RDC comes into play, because the whole concept of providing the TIF to Hendricks County was for Hendricks County to build the sewer plant to service the area out there. But we have Monrovia interested in saying, you know, this might be an opportunity for us to step up versus having to build a whole nother plant and go through that regulatory process. So the RDC might be able to play, if we can see if we can angle some of those funds down to help Monrovia, which is already trying to expand its wastewater treatment plant. And then in addition to that, in Monrovia, I was in a meeting last week in town about a joint partnership kind of with Hendricks County to talk about the 39 corridor and how we might work together updating Monrovia's land use plan. The thing about the Hendricks County side of the interchange is there's not really any outlots. There aren't really any outlots that have been platted for hotels or restaurants, those types of things. So maybe Monrovia can incorporate that into their planning update and bring some of those mixed uses down into the community as a benefit to the Morgan County side. In Mooresville, Project Catapult that was announced last December, nice pack. We've been working on that project, and there's going to be an update on the update pretty soon. And I think Morgan County will be very pleased with the process and the progress that's being made between the company and the town of Mooresville. It was a project that we worked on as a BRE thing for 3.5 years before it was announced last December, and it's going to be even better than what we had anticipated. In addition, in Mooresville, and here in Martinsville as well, the two key cities, it's all about real estate. The good thing for us right now is we have help wanted signs everywhere, and that's great for our workforce. So I think people are crawling back in, jobs are available, the unemployment rate is down. The employment participation rate still isn't where we'd like for it to be. The workforce isn't quite back into the idea of either looking for work or drawing the UE or being where they are, but we're getting there. And so for Mooresville, again, with the Nice Pack project and the spec building, we need more industrial real estate there for development. We have the Haught property, which sits west of Flagstaff Road, that we think some manufacturing will go into in the future, but we just have to stay ahead of the game. For example, Ryan Homes, I think it is, it's building, they have 150 lots in Heartland Crossing. Well, Ryan Homes is already out looking for other dirt, hence Monrovia that I just noted. Because again, there's pressure to be in this market to help us build homes for families. Here in Martinsville and in the townships here, I think you're all aware of the eco park that has been proposed. We have not been directly involved in that, but we have assisted that project on 2 different occasions. One was consideration of whether a grant should be pursued through Hoosier Energy as a part of an economic development program, which the business then decided not to do. And second was last week I had a request for an inquiry about opportunities in vertical commercial farming and looking at the opportunity zone, which basically is from Burton Street south into the forest. And really, there are 2 potential opportunities in that opportunity zone. One was I directed contact toward that eco park project, whether it gets off the ground or not. We're networking people and that sort of thing. The other one would be a farming family with which we have not yet made contact to see if they're interested in the vertical commercial farming. And we've also contacted the Indiana Ag and Tech School, and they're reviewing the proposal to see if it might be something that could go on their 600-acre farm out by Morgantown. Here, again, the issues, we know the downtown redevelopment plan has been proposed. Earlier in the year, the city was unsuccessful in trying to get some ground down around Liberty Church, and we were involved in that, and that's just going to be the key for us. Right now, I've got a company in the county that really wants to be in Martinsville, and we're going to try and keep them in the county by bringing them to Martinsville. But it's the acreage issue. It's the site. Finding the real estate, the right site for the right use. So that's what we continue to work on. And then up around Waverly too. And if you want to interject, either of you here on the end that I deal with most often. Waverly, we've seen some hits around the wastewater treatment plant. We've had some interest in the Hillenburg property there where the Waverly Road overpass is going in. Jerry would prefer to sell that all at once rather than parcel that out. So I mentioned the one company I'm trying to keep in the county in Martinsville. I have 2 others in Mooresville that I need space for. And I have another Morgan County industrialist that is up north of here who would really like to try and find space in the northern part of the county because of his need to be approximate to the airport. And Daniel's been involved in that one also from the RDC perspective. So lots of activity. We think going into 2021, the word is going to be jobs.
Can you tell what the vertical farming is?
I don't know specifically what type of crop that they would be involved in. For example, I know that there's a vertical tomato farm, I think, here in the county, someplace out west, maybe around Hall or someplace like that. But what they're looking for is basically it would be, they would be indoor grow of whatever product, right? And then just doing the whole process of product to market. And could be a variety of products. She didn't specifically say to me, but they're looking for acreage where they could do some outbuildings, some internal grow, and that her interest was the opportunity zone primarily, but the whole county in general. The opportunity zone is of interest because it creates a tax incentive on the back end, capital gains tax for those who would invest in the OZ, which we haven't seen a lot of this year, but I think was probably the primary driver as well why the Eco Park has looked down at the Liberty Church Road interchange. where others of us have tried to get them maybe to go up toward Waverly as an option in the county. But the OZ is of interest because of that tax credit that comes on the federal level for the investor. And as soon as I know more, Vicki, about her specifics, I'll make sure you do too.
I will add something that's interesting. Well, it's not a positive, but it's something we hope to change someday. This, the industrialist that is somebody who lives here in Morgan County. You all know this family, and they love Morgan County. Obviously, they live here. They would love to. They would build tomorrow here in Morgan County, but there's not a place.
Boy, it's hard. It's tough.
And that's the thing that we've got to. And it's not a quick thing that we can change in a week or a year, but that's the thing that we have to really look at and say, okay, when we have a family, a good business, the family lives here in Morgan County, they want to be here in Morgan County, and they're looking and saying, gosh, there's nowhere for us to put our business. And this is a business that is in Indianapolis right now. They would love to come here because of the low tax rate, they've got workers here, all those things. We don't have a location for them right now.
The real estate inventory is difficult, and I get it. You know, those who do what they do with their real estate don't necessarily want to sell it. That's where we have to figure out a way in economic development come together as the communities and the approximate landowners, those that we would target, to say, you know, but for your ground being available, Martinsville could grow. How can we get past that buffer? That's where we've got to find our
So are you oftentimes looking at like 3 to 5 acres or 10 to 15? Or?
I'm looking at everything, really. It could be as little as a 1 to 2 acre lot in an industrial park for a small building, like what you may see up in Flagstaff Business Park up in Mooresville. Or we get leads in and try to reply to requests for information on things that are up to 200 acres, which the only thing we've got right now of substance in the county is 190 acres up at West Point, which is Von Wamsley's ground up there. That's the joint project.
Monrovia?
I'm sorry?
Where's West Point, Monrovia?
That's the northeast quadrant of the 3970 interchange.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what we're working on. And then last two is not to forget about the housing side. Housing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We need more opportunities for young folks to settle.
Yes, we do.
Because they're out there looking. I mean, every day, we know. I'm speaking with the the Morgan County group tomorrow, the Board of Realtors. They've noted how short the Indianapolis region is on housing for the next 20 years for all the jobs that are anticipated to be created in the region. We could be a big player. I'm not saying so big we want to bowl our county over. That's not what I'm after. But again, to support our community, to keep our taxes low, keep our consumers going into our businesses, keep our kids in our schools, that kind of growth.
I was at the Mooresville Chamber of Commerce meeting, the last one they had, and there was a young man who, he has a young family, you know, infant children. It took him 5 months to find a home in Mooresville area. And he has friends who want to move to the Mooresville area who are living in Indianapolis and Hendricks County, but they cannot find a place to live.
And I think, you know, the demand and supply thing is there. We're overcoming past issues, right, wrong, or indifferent, with how developers did or didn't look at us. We're starting to get more attention now just because we're continuing to tell the story. And we're in a great location relative to the airport in downtown Indy, and we have really good schools in this county. So hopefully the idea is good young families settling. That's what we're after. So, lastly, I would do this for you too. If you'd love my cell phone number, I'm happy to give it to you. You can call me anytime, 317-760-4150. I remembered that. 760.
He didn't say he'd answer. He just said call him.
I'll get back to you if I don't answer. I'm there. So thank you all again for your investment. And
Thanks, Mike.
Just to reiterate, Kelly and Terry Brock and Ryan Goodwin are the 3 county representatives currently with the EDC. So thank you for your investment.
Thank you. Thanks for the
so much.
report.
Any other business? Mr. Baston is asking me to pass this down, and he wants to mention something real quick.
This is the salary ordinance draft, the most recent draft, and it's still in a very much a draft. Look past the cosmetics and all that, because that I got to clean up. Its color code is you'll see accounts that are highlighted in red. That means I've either got to find account number for that in our new system or create one. Over in the salary and wage On the right-hand side, you're going to see some that are highlighted in yellow. That indicates that those were salaries or rates per hour that were already over the midpoint for WIST, and so they're frozen at that point in time. But please take a look at this. I will be sending you updates here soon that has a more polished look, along with emails that are going to have some questions that I need you to answer for me to finalize this, so that hopefully we can have this where it'll be ready for you all to sign on at the December meeting on
Okay.
December the 6th.
Great.
And the meeting will be December the 6th, not December the 7th. It's
Monday?
It's a Monday at 6:30, December the 6th. So I wanted you to get a look at this, and so,
Deb, in regards to that email that you sent out about the next year's appointments and things, is that what the commissioners, they fill those appointments for different committees and boards?
It is, it should be December 7th. He's wrong.
We make those in January, don't we, Brian? Or in December? I couldn't remember.
We've done it both ways over some years. They could probably wait until you got a full board, unless nobody's gonna have a meeting.
I think I just need to send you an email.
It is the 7th.
That's what I was like,
Yeah.
it's the 7th.
We were gonna pull a Brian on you, correct you, but you know.
somebody told me that I had it on
Nope.
the wrong date.
December 7th. This is Monday.
12/7, 6:30.
So if you would like to meet with us on Sunday,
I'll be now.
Oh, no.
mashed potatoes and gravy.
Just fulfill my Sunday so that
Oh, yeah, to spend it with me. Any other business to bring in front of the council?
Arrangements to have that window put in above that desk in there?
I actually have.
this.
I sent that to Eric
He
Ratz through
almost got the
DLZ
police
and.
called on him tonight. He was peeking in the windows, I tell you. while I was-
There's nothing trying to
Oh,
scare
that's-
him out in the alley up in his.
That's not the first time he's been window peeping, I
Yeah,
bet.
that's right.
We heard your neighbors have been talking, now we know.
That's right. Moving right along. Any other business
Are we
that the,
done?
come before the council?
Make a
Hearing
mo-
none, I ask for a.
I'll make a
to
motion, we adjourn.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. And we are done. Thank you.
Team, good job.
You know what's gonna happen. Trump is gonna get 268.
Yeah, I don't mind